Hello, everyone. This is Jim Sporer, and this is a ISSIP course draft example where I will be both the instructor-led as well as the learner. And this is just a kind of a rehearsal. And it will generate the Zoom chat, which will be good data input for the generative AI systems, and hopefully this will be helpful to the student teams. So the general information is this is going to be a 1 hour course. It's going to have 3 sections, section A, B, C. The first section has 10, well, each section has 10 learning items. The first section A has concepts, and these concepts are based loosely on the book Service in the AI Era by Sporer, Maglio, and Vargo. Oops, I got to correct that, and Varg. And here's the cover of that book. Uh, and if you send me a connection request to Jim Sporer on LinkedIn, and there's my URL right there, I will be happy to send you a free PDF of this book for those who want to read it. Section B is about ISSIP, and there's 10 learning items, and it's loosely based on the ISSIP handbook. Um, and You can always find the ISSIP handbook if you go to the ISSIP website. It's in the lower right-hand corner. Um, and then section C, the third and last section, has 10 learning items as well. And these are about how to participate in the ISSIP community as a good participant. So these 3 sections, as I mentioned, have 10 learning items per section. And here's the specifics that are just arbitrary. I mean, I think they're okay, but certainly some could be dropped, some could be added, some could be switched around. This is an area for maybe asking the generative AI systems on how to improve this. Um, and if we uh, before we do the course, the learner should go out and take the pretest. So if we click on this link, we'll go out to the pretest, and I'll blow that up a little so it's easier to see. Now, the pretest people should put their email address, so sporer@gmail.com. Since I'm pretty familiar, in fact, I would say I'm very familiar with all of these, my pretest isn't going to be that informative because for service, I'm very familiar with the concept. Service innovation, very familiar. The concepts of artificial intelligence, digital service, technology mediated service, very familiar. The concept of service practice, very familiar. I worked at IBM for many years, and we did a lot of service activities. Service research, I started the service research group at IBM, so I'm very familiar with that. Service education, I helped start, when I led IBM Global University Programs, I helped start service education courses at many universities, collaborating with a lot of faculty. Service science, very familiar. I'm one of the co-founders of this emerging field. Service dominant logic, very familiar. I know, well, Steve Vargo is one of the co-authors of, he started service dominant logic with Bob Lush, and he's one of my co-authors on that book. Service dominant architecture, very familiar. Marcus Varg is another co-author on that book. T-shaped service innovation professionals. This is, of course, about talent and skills, and I'm very familiar with that. And when we get to the course, we'll share some stuff there. The next section is section B is about ISSIP. There's a code of conduct. I'm very familiar with that. I helped write it. There's the annual calendar of ISSIP. Very familiar with that. I helped establish it. The bylaws, very familiar. I'm on the board, so you have to be familiar. Community of practice programs. I collaborated with other members of ISSIP executive committee to create a lot of those programs. Conferences. I think nearly all of these conferences that ISSIP supports I've been to. I think there's maybe 2 exceptions. Then there's the LinkedIn company and the LinkedIn group and blogs that participants can use. I'm familiar with those. The event series, panels and white papers, very familiar with those. And books, the Business Expert Press partnership. Well, that Service in the AI Era book is part of that books collection series, so I'm familiar with that. The next section, section C, is about participation in ISSIP. And we call participants in ISSIP, we say the culture is a give, get, grow culture, where everybody has something to give, everybody has something to get, and we can grow our networks, our professional networks. So I'm very familiar with that. The newsletter, I'm going to put that 4 because other people create the newsletter, but I find it quite interesting and I read them. This is the ISSIP annual elections. I'm very familiar with those. This is the ISSIP Excellence in Service Annual Awards. I'm very familiar with that, so I'm clicking that. Everyone should become a follower of ISSIP LinkedIn Company. Very familiar with that. I'm one of the administrators there. I've become a member of the ISSIP LinkedIn group. I'm one of the owners of that LinkedIn group, so I'm familiar with that. Become a subscriber to ISSIP YouTube. Very familiar with that. I upload a lot of those. And similarly, become a follower of ISSIP SlideShare. I'm very familiar with that because I upload a lot of the presentations to SlideShare. And become a follower of ISSIP ambassadors on LinkedIn. I'm connected to almost all of the ambassadors and I follow them and I am an ambassador, so very familiar with that. Participation in ISSIP through organizations like Benevity, annual reimbursements. Now, if I was still at IBM, I could do that, but since I'm not, I can't do that. Benevity allows ISSIP volunteers to log their hours, and then the company they work for will make like a $10 or $15 donation per hour. And that's one way that ISSIP gets the income it needs to continue operations. And I administer the Benevity account for ISSIP, so I'm very familiar with that. And then it says optional, provide any additional comments. Also your name, please, if you'd like to follow up. Thank you. So I am going to say nothing much there. Now it says I'm supposed to be able to submit the form. Forms cannot be submitted. What does it say? In preview mode. Huh, that's interesting. So there's a problem there. I will have to figure out how to submit the form, but let me figure that out later. So now if we go back to the presentation, before we do the course, we take the pretest. That's a link to the pretest. I'll get that figured out. Oh, I guess it says preview here. So that shouldn't say preview. Section A is these 10 concepts: service innovation. I'm not going to go through them again, but let's go to the concept number 1, service. So service is defined by ISSIP as the application of resources such as knowledge, skills, and tools for the benefit of another, or simply put, becoming better at helping others. And daily life depends on the give, get, grow of service. Now, historically, service is a hot topic of economic and practical importance because economists use the term to describe the largest sector of advanced economies where the majority of jobs exist, and technologists are building more and more advanced types of service delivery devices like smartphones. So service is a hot topic both for economists and technologists and really lots of other disciplines as well. And as an exercise, the learner can name resources you use most to help others. And I would say the resource I use most to help others is probably my time and my knowledge. So the second concept is service innovation, and service innovation is defined by ISSIP as a dynamic configuration of designed and evolving technological capabilities, business model benefits, and institutional arrangements that mitigate harms. Now, you might say, why don't we just say innovation? And the reason is we prefer service innovation to only using the term innovation because innovations alone can be used by good actors to create benefits or bad actors to create harms, right? Artificial intelligence is a great example of that. You can use it to get your work done better and faster, or you can use it to spread disinformation. So it's important for service innovation professionals to benefit humanity and to ask 4 types of questions. Should we? Who will benefit? Is there a market? Can we? What capability is being amplified? Is it technologically possible? May we? Who might be harmed? Is it legal? Are there ways to mitigate the harms from bad actors, accidents, and unintended consequences? And will we? What will we learn from doing this? Is this a top priority and highly meaningful use of our resources? And is the timing right for this? So that's the second concept, service innovation. The third concept is artificial intelligence, digital service, and technology mediated service. And technology has been one of the main driving forces transforming business and society with each passing generation of people, of course. In the ISSIP website, I should mention, has lots of examples of service innovation and different types of technology-enabled service. In old times, service was delivered person to person and mostly within small family groups. But as technology advanced uh, and amplified the individual capabilities and also organizational forms, businesses and nations, this allows complex application of resources to benefit others. The internet, the World Wide Web, and smartphones have greatly increased screen time and increased the amount of daily technology-mediated service in the world. Artificial intelligence was one of the newest resources that we have access to, like OpenAI, ChatGPT, or the DeepSeek coming out of China. Um, and AI transformation of services is happening now. So if we go to concept number 4, this is service practice. And service practice deals with the pursuit of the best means of using resources to achieve ends that benefit others. And in industry, businesses are constantly in search of competitive and comparative advantage in service practice for their customers, employees, shareholders, and partners, their ecosystem. And in society, nations are constantly in search of uh, competitive and comparative advantages in service practice for their citizens, government employees, businesses, and partner nations. The fifth concept is service research. I helped start the service research group at IBM, so I'm quite familiar with this area. Research, of course, is new knowledge that helps drive new innovations, and service research is what we call a big tent. It spans lots of academic disciplines, both business and technological and social sciences, as well as industry sectors, everything from government to healthcare to education and finance, and cultural boundaries. And as an exercise here, and maybe all these learning items eventually will have exercises associated with them that students can do, learners can do if they want to get more practice. And maybe they could discuss it with an instructor-led mode. They might discuss it with the instructor a little bit. Or the AI and AI-led instruction mode for the course. And probably eventually each one of these learning items should have like 3 additional resources that learners could go off and either read a book or watch a video or read an article or something like that. So for service research, the exercises examine current and back issues of the SAGE Journal of Service Research and make a list of 10 research topics explored. So for example, I can see, gosh, I could have put the URL to help people go out there, and that would be in the self-directed learning mode. It would be easier if the URL was there and learners could click on it. The concept number 6 is service education. Education is the primary means of getting expert knowledge into practice and for preparing the next generation for roles in business and society. And service education exists across academic disciplines. Business schools have like service marketing or service operations. Engineering schools have service system engineering and service computing. Social sciences schools have service economics to study that big section of the economy because that's how economists look at it. And professional schools like medical schools, legal, education, public policy, divinity schools for religion, and public health, a few typos there, all prepare service professionals. Concept number 7 is service science. While I was at IBM started service science, working with lots of other companies and universities and governments around the world. I could say a huge amount about service science, but science is a systematic process for creating new knowledge. And service science is an emerging, what we call transdiscipline, meaning it groups a lot of disciplines together that studies service systems, including their design and evolution. Now, service system entities give and get service. That's how you know it's a service system, if it's giving and getting service. And service systems are defined as dynamic configurations of people, technology, information, and organizations, all interconnected by value propositions. Service systems include people, because they give and get service, families give and get service, businesses give and get service, universities give and get service, nations, of course, and other entities that give and get service across a wide spectrum of scales, like cities and states, etc. Um, the implications of these propositions can be in service dominant logic. Oops, did I skip something? Yeah, I think I did. Oh, yeah. And service science is short for Service Science Management, Engineering, Design, Arts, and Public Policy, SSMEDAP, which is a longer name reflecting more aspects of this emerging transdiscipline. Now, concept 8 is service dominant logic. Steve Vargo and Bob Lush created the service dominant logic for marketing, and it's good logics in people's heads can help them interact with others in win-win ways. I know that's kind of complex, but basically how you think about the world matters. So logics are these alternative ways of looking at the world, and they're sometimes called mindsets. Now, goods dominant logic is what most people use in thinking about the world as full of things, resources that have value, like, oh, this computer has value, or money has value, or my tools have value, or knowledge has value. And service dominant logic is an alternative way of looking at the world in which value is always co-created through systems of exchange. So there's got to be some sort of interaction or exchange between entities in order for value to be co-created. And I know this is nuanced, but it's one of the fundamental ways that a good service innovation professional knows about this concept of service dominant logic. May not always agree with it, but they certainly know about it. Service dominant logic is based on 5 propositions or axioms. Service is the basis of exchange. Value is always co-created by a multitude of actors. Actors obtain new resources through the integration of resources obtained through service exchange. Value is a measure of well-being of a focal beneficiary, and institutions, e.g. social norms, rules, norms, play an important role in the coordination of direct and indirect value co-creation. And this is a complex concept, but it's really, really important to um, read the original papers on this if you really want to go deep into service innovation. It's a huge area with all kinds of amazing insights. So I can't recommend it strongly enough. I certainly adopt the service dominant logic view of the world. The implications of these propositions can be nuanced and may be difficult to accept by those entrenched in the traditional GD or goods logic mindset, in which things rather than actions and outcomes are the key concepts. So anyway, I'll just make a note that concept 8 is a very complex one, service dominant logic. Concept 9 is service dominant architecture. Good architectural designs can help organizations keep up with change. So most people are familiar with the architecture of buildings, but organizations have architectures as well. In a dynamic world where well-designed organizational architectures can make simple changes easy and harder changes possible. Service dominant architecture is grounded in both service dominant logic and service science, and provides an organizing logic for shaping companies, service platforms, service ecosystems through the design patterns aimed at making it possible to build and orchestrate capabilities in a more systematic way. And as an exercise, this is a link to an online course to learn more about service dominant architecture. And it's got about 100 slides, but it could be something that some learners would like to go out and do. I've done it, and I thought it was fantastic. Concept 10, T-shaped service innovation professionals. Now, talent, uh, we think of it as T-shaped skills, and that's a metaphor for having both breadth and depth. And breadth helps people communicate with each other on teams better. And depth helps people be specialists in particular problem-solving expertise areas. Breadth also helps people learn new areas of expertise faster. If you have breadth, you know a little bit about a lot of things, so you can, when it's time to go deep, you've got something to start with. And depth also helps people learn the discipline of seeing knowledge gaps. Very, very important. When you become an expert, you start knowing what you don't know. It's like, oh, I can't solve that problem. I'm an expert and I know I can't solve that problem because we don't know this. So depth is very important as well as breadth. And there's 6 areas of T-shaped depth and breadth included in advanced technologies. So these 6 areas, one area is advanced technologies, like artificial intelligence, academic disciplines, like the business school, the engineering school that look at service, social sciences, industry sectors, already talked about, government, medicine, education, finance, cultural patterns. For example, financial services are different in a Japanese culture or Middle East culture versus the US or Europe. Work practices deal with things like design thinking. I remember at IBM, a very important work practice was knowing not just how to use the simple tools for, presentations and writing documents, but also more complex work practices around agile uh, projects. Open source was a very big area that I was involved in. So lots of different types of work practices that people should know about and have depth and breadth in at least one. And growth mindsets, lots of different mindsets, entrepreneurial mindset. Oops, got to go back. Um, so these are the 6 areas where service innovation professionals who really want to become uh, deeply knowledgeable about service innovation should have depth and breadth. And because the world is changing rapidly, and because service innovations play a major role in our daily lives, lifelong learning is essential for all who aim to become better service innovation professionals to give, get, and grow service for business and society. And the exercise here is for each of the 6 areas listed, list at least 3 top items of interest to you, such as um, advanced technologies, might be like AI or quantum computing or augmented reality. So those are the 10 concepts in Section A. Section B has 10 concepts as well around ISSIP. These are the 10 learning items. First of all, there's the code of conduct and the annual calendar. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these because I'm going to go through them one by one as both instructor and learner. So number 1 is the code of conduct. And here's the link. It's important to go out and to read the code of conduct, understand it, and then put your email address here and submit the form. See, submit works there. So I've got to go back and change it on the other one. Um, but yeah, this is really important. It's the first step for anybody participating in the ISSIP community, really, is to read and understand the code of concept. And basically it says we're going to be very nice to each other. The code of conduct has general moral imperatives, specific professional responsibilities, specific leadership responsibilities if you're going to be a leader in ISSIP, and commitments as an ISSIP participant to support the professional development of others and other things. So it's very, very important to read through, understand all of these, and submit your email as a first um, learning item for ISSIP. The second learning item is the annual calendar, and each month there's standard events. So January, February, March. This is in the ISSIP handbook. Again, this section B and C come from the ISSIP handbook. The ISSIP handbook, remember, if you go to the ISSIP website on the lower right-hand corner down there, you'll see a link to get you to the ISSIP handbook, which is only about 10 or 12 pages long. So it's pretty easy to read. And each page is something like, I think, page 6. Yes, page 6 in the handbook is the annual calendar. And I'll just mention, in January and June, there are the progress update calls if you want to meet the leadership of ISSIP, like the board members and other leaders. The last Wednesday of every of January and the last Wednesday of June at noon Pacific time. There's a Zoom. Everybody in the ISSIP community is welcome, and that's when you can get an opportunity to grow your network and connect to some of the ISSIP leaders. Um, August is when nominations for vice president open. September is when we vote for the vice president, and October is when the election results come. December is the end of December is when nominations have to be in for the ISSIP Excellence Award. So again, I won't go through it all, but the calendar is page 6 of the handbook, and there's something specific every month. The bylaws, ISSIP is a nonprofit. That's what allows it to get donations, to pay for the platform, pay for an executive director, sponsor some conferences and recognitions and awards, and build up an ISSIP foundation. So the nonprofit bylaws can be found again on every page of the ISSIP website down in the lower right-hand corner. I think bylaws are above handbook, but you can click on that and read the bylaws. And of course, I'm a board member of ISSIP, and all board members have to be very familiar with the bylaws. Now, this is the fun part, I guess. ISSIP has programs for the community of practice, and all of the programs have a volunteer leader, and they have volunteer operation teams that help the programs go. And the programs are all designed for give, get, and grow, for sharing knowledge, for getting recognition, and growing your network. And I should mention the programs, like let's say you're a student. So you might say, well, I'm a student. I don't have a huge amount of experience and knowledge to share yet. Well, but you can share your time and volunteer to work on collaborative projects like the AI CoLab student teams. They're sharing their time and their expertise to develop projects that benefit ISSIP. So these page 8 of the handbook lists the different programs in our community of practice. And again, there's program leaders and program operations team, lots of volunteer opportunities to help with these different programs. ISSIP learning item number 5 is the constellation of platforms. And ISSIP depends on, LinkedIn. It depends on YouTube and SlideShare and Zoom. So there's a whole constellation of platforms that support the ISSIP participants in the programs. And again, the platforms support the sharing of knowledge, getting recognition. We use Badger, for example, to give out digital certifications and grow the network. And page 9 in the handbook, and here's a little screenshot of it. You can see it's a very short page, describes the website, WordPress, and various other platforms that ISSIP uses. And again, we're always looking for volunteers who are knowledgeable to help us with these platforms. Now, ISSIP learning item number 6 is the website, and there's a lot on the website. Everybody should go and join, use the join link to fill out the registration form. It just takes a few minutes. Let me go show you where that is. If you come here, you can see join us. You can just click on that and boom, there you are. And ISSIP is free to individuals. So definitely go to the website. And if you haven't, click join and fill out that form. And be sure to put your LinkedIn URL into that form. It's very important. I think it's, yeah, LinkedIn URL, because that's what we use when we give recognition, a digital certificate. You can post it to your LinkedIn profile under licenses and certifications. So very important to make sure that we have your LinkedIn URL. And again, there's lots more stuff on the website, and I'm not going to take the time right now to explore it all, but just about everything I'm talking about, you can find a link on the website to it. Conferences. ISSIP sponsors about 10 conferences, everything from the International Exploration of Service Science to the Hicks Conference. I've been to most of these. In fact, some of them, like Human Side of Service Engineering, I helped found that with Professor Lou Freund. And been to most of these, but not all of these. And participants are invited to attend these service innovation related conferences. Students can publish papers with faculty or industry partners. You can give talks and also grow your network. So conferences are very important. And in the past, we've supported conferences by using some of our funding to support them monetarily, and also to give out awards and things like that, and best paper awards. Now, ISSIP concept number 8 is the LinkedIn group and the website blogs. And these are ways that participants can post information to the community. So the LinkedIn group, once you're invited to, you could connect with me, Jim Sporer, or connect with somebody else you know who's in ISSIP, and get invited to this group, and that's where you can make little posts about, you read a great paper, or you wrote a great paper, or you led and participated in a great event, or other things you think are of interest to the community. This is where you can make a quick post on LinkedIn to share that. And of course, when other people like what you post, you can start growing your network and connections. Um, the blog area, the news area, this is a little bit more formal. You have to submit things to get posted to the ISSIP blog, but a lot of our ambassadors write articles about their expertise. There's a lot of information about events and reminders and various things. So definitely check out the website and the website blog area, news area. ISSIP learning item number 9 is event series, panels, and white papers. And again, to meet the ISSIP leadership, register for the progress update with the board the last Wednesday in January and June. And to meet new ISSIP participants, register for the quarterly welcomes. Those are the second Wednesday of January, April, July, and October. And a great way, smaller groups, just to get to know people and grow your network. Um, and again, here's the link if you want to go out and see the events. The next one coming up, this is January 28th. So tomorrow is in fact the semi-annual progress update call. And you can click on that and go to the registration link. And even if you can't attend in person, if you put your email here, you'll get a copy of the link to the recording and the slides later. Just about everything, because we're global and we're in many time zones, ISSIP is very friendly about, just register and you'll get a link to the recording and presentation after the event. All right, so ISSIP item number 10, books. We have a partnership with Business Expert Press. Service in the AI Era is one of the books in this collection. There it is right there. But many, many people in the ISSIP community, many of our leaders, many of our experts, some of them, their very first book was in this Business Expert Press series. And these are concise expert books, and yes, they do cost something to buy them, but they're really relevant on a lot of different service innovation perspectives, industry perspectives, like fintech or whatever. There's even ones on cruise ships as a service system. So lots of good books for you to take a look at here. And I'll just click on the link so you can see what it looks like on the website. There you go. So I think this presentation actually is a pretty good study guide. Okay, final section, third section, section C, participation. 10 learning items from the Culture Give, Get, Grow plan to the newsletter. And again, I won't go through each of these because I'll go through them one by one. But our culture is a give, get, grow culture, and from students to professionals in their career to retirees. And again, you can give time and share knowledge, you get recognition, and you grow your network. That's the inner loop of ISSIP. It's pretty simple. I like to think of ISSIP as like a really, really free and simple on-ramp to start learning about service innovation. And you can go very deep. There are a lot of deep experts in this community on service innovation, or you can just stay at the surface and just enjoy the things that you're interested to. It's an easy place to start learning about service innovation. It's very friendly and informal, I like to think. Uh, we like to keep the feel of a small organization where people can truly get to know each other as individuals. We do ask people to limit self-promotion and focus on volunteering to help others. Some self-promotion is fine, but just, we don't want like every post to our ISSIP LinkedIn group to be somebody pushing their book or something. Um, Now, becoming more helpful and of service to others as lifelong learners is really key. And again, this culture of give, get, grow. Every quarter, we have our quarterly welcome, and the slides for that get posted to our SlideShare and recordings to our YouTube, so you can go out and find out more information about the quarterly welcomes and the culture of give, get, grow. The newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter. Michelle Carroll, our executive director, and her team create this. It's very nice. You can see we have about one a month. If you go to the news section, you can look at the back issues if you're interested in that. And that's learning item number 2, newsletters. Participation learning item number 3 is voting in the ISSIP VP annual election. August is when we get our VP nominations. We usually select anywhere from 2 to 4 of the top candidates who have their bio and a position statement about what they'll do if they become elected into the vice president, and if they're selected, I should say. And voting is in September, and then the selection and announcement happens in October. And then they serve the following year as vice president. The year after that, they serve as president of ISSIP, and the year after that, they serve as the chair of the election committee. And you can click on this link, and here's an example on the website of the 2020 5 candidates. Haluk Demirkan, who's also on the board, he won the election, was selected to be the VP in 2025. Now, and the ones who don't win often are invited to be on our strategy council to pick topics of interest. And the more active you are in ISSIP, the more you volunteer, the more likely you will be selected as a nominee uh, for the election. And usually the first time people run for vice president, they don't make it. But by the second or third time, as they get more well-known, if they keep trying, they're more likely to be elected. Participation item number 4, learning item, is encourage nominations for the ISSIP Excellence Award in Service. This is an annual award. December 31st each year is the deadline. The winners are notified in March. We have judges who review the nominations. It only takes about an hour to submit a nomination. If your organization, if your company, we've had people working at museums and other nonprofits, other startups submit their service innovation. It's quite straightforward to fill out the nomination form. Winners are notified in March, and winners are announced in April. And there's runner-ups as well that get digital certifications. Participation number 5 item is become a follower of ISSIP LinkedIn company. And there's ISSIP calendar reminders on the company, and ISSIP leadership can be found there. So it's definitely good for people interested in being part of the ISSIP community to become a follower of the LinkedIn company. Participation item number 6 is become a member of the ISSIP LinkedIn group. And participants, again, can share short posts. You have to be you can apply and be accepted to this group and make short posts. Participation item number 7, become a subscriber to ISSIP's YouTube channel. I'll just click on this to take you out there to see it. Lots of recordings, over 213 recordings on all kinds of service innovation related topics and panels over the years. So one of our most popular sessions was a session on women in technology. We've had sessions on AI and democracy. With Penn State University this last year, we did a series on digital transformation of industry sectors that was quite good. So lots to look at out there on the ISSIP YouTube. So definitely be a participant who is a subscriber to the YouTube channel. Follow the ISSIP SlideShare. This is where we post the presentations, and also the AI Collab, which is university industry collaboration. Those collab deliverables that the students create, like their final presentation white paper, are shared on ISSIP SlideShare as well, and the website. Participation learning item number 9 is follow ISSIP ambassadors on LinkedIn. The best way to grow your network is to go to the ISSIP ambassador page and go out to LinkedIn, because there's a LinkedIn I'll show you right here. You can, so for example, Melissa Sefkin, oops, where is it? Oh, here it is. I guess you got to click on the LinkedIn thing. There you are, and you can become a follower of Melissa. And she's a social and behavioral researcher. She has an anthropology background, but she's worked on a number of exciting service innovations over the years. And you can just click on various people. Haluk Demirkan, again, he's on our board, and he's our VP 2025. 2025, he'll be president 2026. He's at Amazon and University of Washington. And again, you can click on more here and follow them. And as you start seeing what they're posting about, later you can add them to your connection network. So learning item number 9 is very important, to follow ISSIP ambassadors. It's a great way to grow your network as you follow ISSIP ambassadors on LinkedIn, and send connection requests to only those you know, though, personally, or who have studied, or if you've studied their work, including their activity in ISSIP events, because typically people don't connect with you unless they know who you are. So like attend an ISSIP event and in the Zoom chat say, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn, send a private message, something like that. All right. Last learning item, volunteer support. This is about Benevity. Volunteers of ISSIP who work for companies, a lot of companies let volunteers log their hours, and then they make a $10 or $15 donation for every volunteer hour log. So this is one of the ways that ISSIP gets its funding. And sometimes if you work for a company, you can get reimbursed for any donations you make to a professional association for participation fees or education certificates. Again, ISSIP is free to individuals, but we do appreciate it when individuals can log hours on Benevity, or if their employer wants to make a donation, that would be great, or reimburse the individual for benefits they're getting. It's free, but we definitely have to pay for the platforms, pay for the executive director, pay for the conference support. And our total annual budget is usually around $50,000 a year. By design, ISSIP.org tries to, oops, that's my cat Petey. Tries to keep operating costs low. Our primary expenses are executive director that provides the service of community of practice program management, including the website, the newsletter, volunteer management, our nonprofit professional association donation management, and also the management of these constellation of platforms, working with volunteers, of course, and their teams. But conference support, awards, all of this, the ISSIP Foundation monthly donation. We typically donate $150 to the foundation for long-term sustainability. This is what the Benevity website looks like. If your company is allows you to log your volunteer hours, volunteer some time at ISSIP, and that helps ISSIP through donations. Now, the last thing is that's important, that's the course, is to go out here to the post test. And you'll see the post test, you put your email in here, and again, I don't think it's going to let me submit it because it's in preview mode, but for me, I would go put 5s in all of these again. But the idea is that a learner, before they take the test, they may be unfamiliar with some of these, but after they take the course, I should say, they might be a little bit more familiar. So maybe they went from 3 to 4 or something like that. And then let's see if there's anything else in this deck. Nope, that's it. So I'll stop the share and I'll stop the recording. But this recording, the Zoom recording and the AI companion notes should all be data that could be fed by the student teams working to build these courses and the different modes of the courses to their AI systems. So I'm going to stop my share and then stop the recording. Stop the recording. And I will upload this recording to the ISSIP YouTube and share it with the student teams working in the AI collab on the course.